Okay. We'll move on to the next question.
Mary, just a quick follow-up. Is there some information over on the
Yes.
table related
Yep.
to the continuum of care?
Yes, the brochure is
Okay.
River Valley's Continuum of Care. There's a brochure there. It has contact information. It says a little bit about who we are and what we do.
And then there's also information about Heading Home, Minnesota, over there also.
Okay, thank you. Tom, we haven't forgotten about you. Here's your question. Please describe a success story on youth homelessness, because we have to end the evening on a good note, right? That has been implemented in another community. Identify any hurdles, necessary resources, and the impact to that community.
Well, there are a number of housing programs that have impressed me throughout Minnesota. There's some in Minneapolis, there's Virginia, Prior Lake, Grand Rapids, all over the state. So it's not just a big city thing. I think part of it is the projects that have impressed me the most are the ones that design some flexibility into their program. Some of the units might be designed for those youth who have mental, chemical, or developmental disabilities and need a tremendous amount of services, yet there may be some parts of that same agency that has housing resources for a kid that just needs some transitional help to get them through a rough spot in their life. HUD can provide funding through its programs for the capital to build, purchase, or rehabilitate buildings that can be used as drop-in centers or as housing, or kind of a combination of both. We have money that's available for operating a piece of real estate. We have money that's available for leasing units, either to help the youth lease in their name, or an agency leases on behalf of a youth, or they lease a building, and so if they don't want to be the property owner or the landlord, that's one thing. I think collaboration is a big thing. I mean, we have a number of housing service providers here in the audience today that do a very good job with our programs. I see at least 4 or 5 of them. There may be some more. And a lot of their models can be adapted to serve young people, whether they're young people with children of their own, or that they are young adults, or whether they are youth. You know, the age range gets funny when you're talking about this group because there's certain legal requirements. At least my attorney that works at HUD tells me that a youth can sign a lease in Minnesota because it's a basic contract that they need for, you know, just like they can contract to get food or basic goods. Not every attorney accepts that 100%, but at least those under 18, that's an option. There are a lot of different models that exist depending on what you feel comfortable as an agency doing, or what you and your other partner agencies feel comfortable doing, and how you can achieve money and what populations. I've seen the Project Solo through Freeport West, where they lease units. They purposely find units that are very inexpensive. They're decent, but that hopefully the youth at some point can take over the rent of that unit. So oftentimes they're finding efficiencies, and they know where to look. They've got a sort of cadre of landlords that they can tap on. We have others. We put money into the Bridge, which you've talked about today, that has a number of programs under its roof to address kids with different issues. So I think that there are a number of good models out there. And I've in this handout that I have, I've listed a number of Minnesota examples, and we can, if there's one that catches your eye, you can call me or email me and we can get more into it. You know, it wasn't necessarily for youth, But a while back, we had a program for self-sufficiency, and we provided some capital money. And what impressed me is East Metro Women's Center went out and found a piece of land between a community college and a technical college. So if you walk out the front door, you're at the technical college. You walk out the back door, you're at the community college. And I thought that was really smart. And I got a couple of housing authorities to do the same thing, one in Worthington and one in Brainerd. And I think, citing that, don't, find a site that adds challenge to the kids. Get it on a bus line, get it near the community college or where the services are, where some employment is, so that, they don't need to worry about a bike or a car. They can use their own 2 feet if they've got them. And, kind of think about those sort of things. So this is a challenging time, but there are some monies available, I hope. Work with Mary and the continuum of care. Historically, there's been a little bonus money that would help a new project. There are some excellent, capable housing providers here in the room today, and if there are some folks that are really knowledgeable about serving the youth, they should get together and work together. Lutheran Social Services has done some around the state of Minnesota. Salvation Army has done some. And almost all the programs we do for adults can be adapted for youth. So,
Thanks, Tom. There is actually one question that came through from an audience member, so we'll address that, and then we'll wrap it up with the conclusion. Steve?
We asked people to write down questions if they had things they wanted asked, so we're going to make sure we address a couple of them. The first one was asked a little bit earlier. Number one is, if we have 200 plus youth homeless in the city today, where are they? What are they doing? Where are they staying? That kind of thing. I think everybody would admit that it's pretty hard to answer at this point in time, and that it would be a pretty broad answer. So we could spend a lot of time talking about that one. But I'm glad that Tom brought up the Lutheran Social Services, because part of the question on the back was, would it be better for when kids are getting out of the house for some social service agents to be attempting to get the youth back with their family rather than having them in that homeless situation? And we know through some of our work that Lutheran Social Services does have some systems in other areas where they provide a 21-day foster care situation where there are people who are willing to take them into their house for 21 days, and then Lutheran Social Services provides counseling to the child and the family in hopes of reconciling that situation within those 21 days. And then if that doesn't happen, obviously they have to choose where to go from there, but they have a fairly good success rate with that program to try and get them back with the families instead. And then another question came up, which I'm going to leave to you guys, because this has been part of our problem. Part of our original quest was let's get a house for homeless kids in Rochester, and this is where we ended up. How do you make that happen? So somebody's question was, are there groups working on a homeless youth shelter in Rochester, and what are you missing to get it up and running?